Ogboni fraternity in Benin were honored at a special ceremony. Indeed, the ceremony was crowned for his numerous works and his commitment towards peace and harmony. In Burkina Faso, thousands of demonstrators gathered on Saturday in several cities supporting Ibrahim Traoré and denounced the destabilization desires of the country. A total of 834 Nigerian evacuees from Egypt and Port Sudan arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Good afternoon, our dear viewers. Welcome to the 1 p.m. news edition, coming to you live and direct from Golfe TV Africa here in the city of Cotonou with Hazel Ogoigbe. Now to the news in detail, starting from the local scene. A faithful of the Ogboni fraternity in Benin Republic, they were honored at a special ceremony. Indeed, the emperor was crowned for his numerous works and his commitment towards peace and harmony. Now, the solemn coronation ceremony took place at the world headquarters of the fraternity in Cotonou, and Golfe TV Africa was there.
For the 20th time, the World Ogboni Fellowship crowned the Owolobe, Emperor of Benin, for his commitment to peace. Well-wishers from various regions came to thank him for this honor, which makes him the most crowned man of the whole congregation.
Níbi tá a mọ̀ lórísun Ògbóni tá a ti wá. Ó kó nǹkan tí àwa wá ṣe níbí báyìí lẹ́ni ní pé.
The importance of what we came here for today is to celebrate with Emperor Owolobe for his support and advancement of the Ogboni Fellowship. But the elders who are left today, like him, who is a leader and an advisor, that is Emperor Owolobe. The reason we are here and what we came here for, as the king of Ogboni worldwide is coming on his way, and he's yet to come, and he's Oluwaye, king of Ogboni worldwide. And that's what we pray for, that God will give us someone who will give us rest of mind, who will be a blessing to us. And may God give us someone who will be a backbone for us, someone who will be a father to us, a brother to us, and a child to us. That's who we seek for. And we see that our father, Owolobe, is someone who we can rely on. That is why we have come. From Nigeria, we brought the world leader to him. So we need a promise from Emperor Owolobe that if the king of Ogboni is from Nigeria, we will be supported by the emperor. So we'll believe in him that he will say so. And if he has stated in French, he will also state it in Yoruba. The support which he will give the new king of the Ogboni kingdom, we would like to hear it from him, because we have done what we ought to have done for him. And whatever we ask from him about the king of Ogboni worldwide, he should tell us so, if he will be in support to us, because I believe he will do it. The numerous actions in favor of the world emperor are evidence of his commitment and willingness to offer an oasis of peace to the people, says the Secretary General of the Fellowship. Joy and gratitude for the world emperor of the Ogboni Fellowship, who seized the opportunity to pray for the nation, the head of state and his government. This crown is the proof of sincerity in his actions, he said.
Still, of course, on the local scene, a new mural on the wall of the former hotel of the Port of Cotonou is now the object of attention in the capital city of Cotonou, Benin Republic. Now, this work by the Brazilian Eduardo Cobra is a contribution by the artist to the government's ambition to make the wall of autonomous Port of Cotonou an emblematic place of expression of street art in Africa, where the greatest signatures of the world cohabit. More information in the following extract.
Outro motivo é a oportunidade de inaugurar hoje.
Cette fresque est une œuvre de mon projet Coexistence qui traite d'une thématique très importante pour moi.
This mural is one of my works I titled Coexistence, which deals with a very important theme for me. The theme is religious freedom, the respect of individual beliefs, the need for a peaceful and harmonious coexistence between members of different beliefs and religious congregations. This mural was created on a space of 525 square meters erected especially for this work. I painted 12 people, each representing a religion. These paintings are symbolic because there are 12 departments in Benin Republic. These people have their backs to the sky and are holding each other. This is what should be done in our societies. Working together is important because it is the only way to have a better world. In common, these people are looking for love and tolerance because no matter what religion we belong to, what we should promote is love. And love is what unites us. It can never be the cause of separation, conflict, and unhappiness.
Ce que nous devrons promouvoir, c'est
Away from that, crossing over to the news in brief, moving to Nigeria now. A number of protesters stormed the appeal court in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, on Monday, expressing their concern about the outcome of the election result, but they were restrained from gaining entrance to the court by security operatives. Now, on Monday, a panel of 5 Nigerian judges sat for a pre-hearing session in the trial involving opposition leaders contesting the February election won by the ruling party, APC. Still on the Nigerian scene, a total of 834 Nigerian evacuees from Egypt and Port Sudan arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on Sunday, bringing it up to the speed of 1,471 Nigerians so far evacuated and brought back to Nigeria from Egypt and Port Sudan in the space of 5 days.
The federal government has said all Nigerians fleeing the insurrection in Sudan but got stranded at the Egypt border have been airlifted and brought back to Nigeria. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Nasir Sani Guazu, stated this when he received another batch of Nigerian evacuees at the Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, on Sunday. A total of 834 Nigerian evacuees from Egypt and Port Sudan arrived at Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport, Abuja, on Sunday, bringing to 1,471 the number of Nigerians so far evacuated and brought back to Nigeria from Egypt and Port Sudan in 5 days. The first batch, comprising 282 evacuees, arrived on Wednesday night from Egypt via an Air Peace flight. The second batch, comprising 94 evacuees, arrived on Wednesday night from Egypt via CI-30, while the third batch, comprising 130 evacuees, arrived on Friday from Port Sudan via Taco Air. The fourth batch, comprising 131 evacuees, arrived on Saturday from Port Sudan via Taco Air, while the fifth, sixth, and seventh batches of 876 evacuees arrived on Sunday from Egypt and Port Sudan via Max Air. According to Sani Guaza, no Nigerian is left at the Egypt border, as all Nigerians at that point had been evacuated. He noted that those in Port Sudan would also be evacuated in a few days. He said arrangements had also been put in place to evacuate the Nigerians who fled Sudan to the Ethiopian and Saudi Arabian borders back to the country. Meanwhile, the Pan-Northern Socio-Political Organization, Arewa Consultative Forum, has commended Airpeace CEO Alan Oyema, Africa's richest man Aliko Dangote, and MTN for their efforts towards the evacuation of stranded Nigerians. This was contained in a statement by the national chairman of the ACF, Chief Audu Ogbe, on Sunday.
Crossing over to the news in brief, a Senegalese court on Monday handed opposition figure Ousmane Sonko a 6-month suspended sentence in an appeal of a defamation case that could jeopardize his run for presidency come 2024. Now, Ousmane Sonko, age 44, came third in the 2019 presidential elections in Senegal and intends to stand again in 2024, but 2 court cases could ruin his candidacy. Now, he received a 2-month suspended sentence and a hefty fine in March for defaming tourism minister Mam Mbaye Nyang, and a Dakar appeal court increased the term to 6 months on Monday, potentially making Sonko ineligible for the votes in Senegal. Now to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC sadly is observing a day of national mourning in memory of the dead in Calais territory in South Kivu following deadly floods and landslides. Now, according to the officials in DRC, about 400 bodies have been found. Relatives of the victims are devastated. Several villages have been submerged. Many houses washed away. Fields devastated. More information in the following reports. The Democratic Republic of Congo is observing a day of national mourning in memory of the dead and missing in Bushushu in Calais territory in South Kivu following deadly floods and landslides in the country. According to officials, about 400 bodies have been found. Relatives of the victims are devastated. Several villages have been submerged, many houses washed away, fields devastated, when rivers have left their beds under the effect of heavy rains. At the end of Friday's Council of Ministers, Kinshasa announced the sending of a government mission to support the provincial government in managing this disaster. Doctors Without Borders also stated that he had sent an emergency team to the area on Saturday. The disaster came 2 days after floods killed at least 131 people and destroyed thousands of homes in neighboring Rwanda. On the spot, victims lack everything. According to Mr. Bakenga, the provincial government has given assistance: a boat full of food, beans flour, tarpaulins, and medicines. The disaster came 2 days after floods killed at least 131 people and destroyed thousands of homes in neighboring Rwanda. The head of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, stressed on Saturday during a visit to Burundi that it was a new illustration of an acceleration of climate change and its dramatic consequence for countries that are not involved in global warming of the planet. On to the news in brief. At least 481 civilians have been killed since fighting began last month in Sudan, and more than 2,560 wounded. Now, the figures given by the Sudanese Doctors Union is part of the wider death toll of at least 700 people killed since the 15th of April 2023. Now, observers have noted that even as more than 100,000 people have fled Sudan, it's civilians trapped by the fighting who continue to suffer, with many queuing for what little bread is available. Now, those who have made it out are still in the need of care at the Sudanese border with Chad. Hundreds of refugees are also queuing in. On the scene of Burkina Faso, in Burkina Faso, thousands of demonstrators gathered on Saturday in several large cities to support Captain Ibrahim Traoré and denounce the destabilization desires of the country.
In Burkina Faso, thousands of demonstrators gathered on Saturday in several large cities to support Captain Ibrahim Traoré and denounce the destabilization desires of the country. In Ouagadougou, where the large markets remained closed, demonstrators burned the French flag and that of the European Union in support of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who came to power in a coup on September 30, 2022. During a televised interview, Captain Traoré denounced the actions of a coalition against Burkina Faso, claiming to have turned to strategic allies such as Russia and Turkey. He revealed that Russia was a major supplier of military equipment to Burkina Faso, but did not go into further detail. His comments follow a rise in anti-French sentiment in the wide Sahel region. Burkina Faso booted out French troops earlier this year. The country has witnessed 2 military coups and terrorist violence has spiraled and claimed more than 10,000 lives. Despite admitting that Russia had provided weapons, Traoré rejected claims of Russian mercenaries from the Wagner group backing the Burkinabe military in their battle against Islamist militants. He stated that the country fought unaccompanied and that reports of Wagner's involvement were fabricated to harm the country's reputation and deter international support.
That more than 600 people were killed last month in a wave of extreme violence in Port-au-Prince, the capital of Haiti, according to the United Nations. Now, crossing away from Haiti, still of course on the African scene. Now, hundreds of refugees fleeing ongoing violent unrest in Sudan have crossed the border into Ethiopia. Now, fighting broke out in Sudan on the 15th of April between the army and the paramilitary forces, and so far, at least 700 people have been killed, most of them civilians. Sadly, multiple truce deals have been declared and quickly violated since fighting erupted between army and paramilitary forces. Hundreds of refugees fleeing ongoing violent unrest in Sudan have crossed the border in Ethiopia. Fighting broke out in Sudan on the 15th of April 2023 between the army and the paramilitary forces, and so far at least 700 people have been killed, most of them civilians. The situation comes as gun battles and airstrikes on Sunday again fled in Khartoum, Sudan's capital, which has been rocked by 4 weeks of fighting despite the latest ceasefire efforts backed by Saudi Arabia and the United States of America. Multiple truce deals have been declared and quickly violated since fighting erupted between army and paramilitary forces. Fierce combat since then has killed at least 700 people, most of them civilians, wounded thousands, and driven a mass of exodus of Sudanese and foreign nationals. In embattled Khartoum, fighter jets have bombed enemy positions as terrified residents stayed barricaded indoors amidst their shortages of water, food, medicine, and other staple needs. Across the Red Sea in Saudi city of Jeddah, talks were underway aiming for a ceasefire that could aid the desperate efforts to bring humanitarian aid to the besieged population. The generals leading the warring parties have blamed each other for the violence, but have said little about the talks being held in Jeddah since Saturday. Burhan and his former deputy Daglo jointly ousted Sudan's longtime autocrat Omar al-Bashir in the 2019 palace coup following mass pro-democracy protests. The military-civilian administration was supposed to steer post-Bashir Sudan towards democracy, but the generals launched another coup in 2021 to assume full powers. They have since fallen out in a bitter power struggle, with the latest flashpoint a plan to integrate the RSF into the army, a conflict that exploded into open warfare for...
This is my second war that I flee. One from Syria after 6 years, and this one in Sudan after 8 years. So I will try to find a place. We don't know the situation. Usually you see safety, you go there, but then this situation is not under control.
Our safety in life comes first. We can't be thinking about the things that we have left behind, no? Plus, they search you at the road when you come here. So if you have valuable stuff, they take it. So it's not worth it.
At least 700 people have been killed in the fighting so far, according to the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project. The Sudanese Doctors Union stated that 479 of the dead were civilians. Hundreds of thousands have been displaced either internally or to neighboring countries, while the United Nations has warned of a deepening humanitarian crisis and the threat of famine. Crossing to the news in brief. The New York City Mayor Eric Adams arrived in Nigeria on Sunday for a 2-day visit as part of his African tour. Now, Nigerian's Consul General in New York, Ambassador Ego Pija, disclosed this in an interview with the News Agency of Nigeria on Monday in New York. Now, Ego Pija disclosed the mayor will be attending the meeting of the Nigerian Governors Forum during his visit. He said he will be visiting the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to commence sister city relationship between the city of Abuja and New York. On to Malawi. Sadly, it's been 2 months since Cyclone Freddy devastated Port of Malawi, Mozambique, and Madagascar. In southern Malawi, flood waters left over 500,000 people displaced. hope faith for finding missing loved ones in Malawi weeks after Cyclone Freddy hit Malawi.
Mark Chauloka is still going through what is left of his once home in the suburb of Blantyre. Chauloka lost his mother and 2 brothers to Cyclone Freddy in this very place. 1 month later, he is still dealing with the trauma the cyclone inflicted.
I'm feeling pity inside my heart. I'm crying inside my heart because as of now I don't have any relatives. If I say I've got relatives, it's certainly maybe the relatives maybe who bear my mama. But according to if I say the one, all brothers, little brothers I don't have, little mother I don't have.
Shamiri Kembo is another cyclone survivor whose home was badly damaged. The cyclone tore through Kembo's roof and took part of the wall with it. The hilly areas around Blantyre, where many people reside, has become unstable, leaving residents like Kembo scared.
We are scared. We need the government to come here and maybe, move us out, give us somewhere else shelter, somewhere where there's safety. You see, we are scared of our lives.
David Chigamba, a local church leader in the area, says many of his followers were swept away by the floods.
All this place was filled with people. Now, every morning when I wake up, what happens? I see those people. Sometimes when I sleep, I see, we think about those people, their departed souls. May their souls rest in peace.
Cyclone Freddy killed close to 600 people, according to government figures, with more than 500 reportedly missing. Authorities say they have stepped up efforts to support families affected by the deadly cyclone.
The good thing is we have already started getting some sort of inquiries and the possible indications of support from a number of partners to see how we can make sure that these people have been afforded the opportunity to get resources to at least make sure that they have some sort of accommodation.
For many here, the hope of finding their loved ones lost in the cyclone is slowly dwindling, with several beginning to come to terms with their losses. What happened here in Chilobo is just one among many alarm bells ringing across much of southern Africa, signaling the dangers of climate change, which scientists fear will make devastating cyclones like Freddy more frequent.
Good day, dear viewers. You're still tuned into the 1 p.m. news with Hazel Ogoigwe, and this is the African News Review. Today we're going to be starting on the front page of The Nation, Nigeria. Now let's start with this international conflict that's been brewing. Now it says 3 weeks old among fifth batch of 132 returnees, talking about the Sudanese crisis and the fact that they have repatriated new people, new Nigerians that were stuck in Sudan. Now let's talk about a bit of Nigerian politics. APC picks Akpabio and Abbas as Senate President Speaker on the front page of The Nation, Nigeria. And now talking about the court case, you know that the opposition parties, the People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, they've gone to the tribunals talking about the fact that they do not accept the presidential results in the presidential election in Nigeria. Now, it said presidential tribunal strikes out AA suit on the pages of The Nation, Nigeria. Now, this is actually a very funny story. that is happening on the pages of the Punch of the Nation, and it's saying 40 worshippers abducted during church service, 15 victims escape. And Soyinka is saying that he does not know obedience. Now, Wole Soyinka is a Nobel laureate, but apart from the fact that he's a Nobel laureate, he's also a strong supporter of the All Progressive Congress. Now, crossing away from that, let's go over to the front page of the Daily News Zimbabwe. Let's see the stories that are making the rounds on the front page of the Daily News Zimbabwe. Now, on the Daily News Zimbabwe, it says it's now game on for pending polls as Concourt rejects Nwanzoro's application. If you're curious about that story, you could check the Daily News. And this story says cops puts down menacing cats on the front page of the Daily News Zimbabwe. I'm going to be crossing away from the Daily News Zimbabwe. Let's go over to the front page of the Guardian Post Cameroon. What is happening today, this Tuesday, the 9th day in the month of May 2023 in Cameroon today? Okay, let's go. Now the story says, Now the story says government accuses Amber fighters of killing journalists in Bamenda. Journalism Association condemns killing and call for immediate investigation. Now, still on the front page of this, it says to enhance growth, SMEs promotional agencies drills over 40 experts on business coaching. Let me just move that a bit to see what the diaspora is saying. And it's saying Cameroon Embassy diaspora thrill thousands with rich cultural heritage. There is nothing as rich as African culture. Africa is a country rich with so many cultural diversities. All right, now we're going to be moving away from that. Let's go over to Ghana. Let's touch the stories that are making the rounds on the front page of the Daily Guide Ghana. Okay, today on the Daily Guide Ghana, I can see the name of the vice president, and it's saying Bawumia goes home for blessing. And the story says NDC man arrested over journalist attack. And the story says Parliament set to grill new Chief Justice. And this is reading state trial Ofosu and Pofo to appeal court. And Bamuya goes home for blessing, and pastor burns woman to death. This man should not even be called a pastor. In my opinion, he's an agent of the devil, because I don't understand how someone that claims to serve God would have the heart to burn a woman to death. This is simply an act of demonism. All right, going over to my favorite dailies of today. Let's touch the front page of the Citizen Tanzania. Let's see the positive stories that are making the rounds on the front page of the Citizen Tanzania. Now it says where 200 billion shillings additional agricultural fundings will go, the government plans to spend 198 billion more on agricultural development projects in the next financial year after increasing its total budget for the sector of 970 billion shillings. There is nothing as important as a government that is interested in the future of the world, which is agriculture. And President Samia has been intentional about pumping in funds and investments into the agricultural industry in Tanzania, and of course is yielding benefits. Kudos to President Samia on the front page of the Citizen Tanzania. Now this story says NEMC shuts 90 bars over excessive noise. If that's the case, a lot of bars will be shut down in Nigeria, because bars are synonymous with music, music is synonymous with dance, dance is synonymous with noise. Okay, let's take this last one that says cement firm speaks out on deregistration and merger row on the front page of the Citizen Tanzania. And this one caught my attention, and it says government launches awareness drive on Lake Tanganyika fishing ban, talking about the fact that people should stop fishing on the Lake Tanganyika. And our dear viewers, this is why I conclude today's edition of the African Newspaper Review and also the 1 p.m. news. I am Hazel Ogoigwe. Join me by 6 p.m. for Vocal Points. Enjoy the rest of your day.